podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
You're listening to Sosbans and Sidesteps.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Sosbans and Sidesteps podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, Mr. Hugh Griffin and our dearest friend Carwin. How are we, gentlemen?
Good. I'm still mucking around with camera angles with all my new setup on my new laptop and my new ways of filming. So I shall be a different angle every week. And then once I decide which my favourite one is, then we'll stick with it. But I'm trying straight on this week.
Carwin, how about you? What are we doing?
I'm also good. Yeah, I'm good. Not changing angles, just changing rooms. We're still getting the house sorted, and I'm in a different room tonight. Hence obviously, if you're viewing it, you can see the mirror over my right shoulder. If you're hearing it, if you're listening to the audio, this makes no sense at all. So sorry.
Okay. One thing I do have to pay note to about Hugh's new setup is he actually got a secret camera on there somewhere, because it points directly down at his keyboard, but there's no camera that points directly down.
If I do this, you'll be able to see my incredible engineering for how I get my microphone to stand up. Right, hang on.
We're not going to show the people that, are we?
No, we'll show the people. Come on. So I just
Let's see if we can figure it out.
I can see what I'm showing you. And then I don't know how it does this. It's magic.
It is literally pointing. It's not as bad this time, but for the audio list.
There's
for the audio.
For the audio listeners, this makes great radio. Please stick with us.
There's right. What it's showing, it's frozen for some reason, but there's it's showing directly down onto my desk, but there's no camera. There's no camera above me, so I don't know how it's doing this. It's magic. Where would we be without Apple, eh?
Yeah, and the magic setup he's referring to is the how many stacks of books have you got underneath your microphone there, my friend?
For today, I've got strategic staffing. I've got managing Six Sigma. Got the 5 dysfunctions of a team, which might come in handy. Who knows? Can you see me? Am I gone?
You're gone. You've gone blank, my friend. Yay! He's back.
I've got 5, and then I've got hats. 500 questions answered.
Ooh. So
there's a
Strong choices.
Hang on. This is semi-relevant.
Not dodgy now. He's removed his headphones and he has walked away from the desktop. This isn't a good start.
No, I can't find it. But this is amazing podcasting. But I've got a book. Well, the missus has got a book. It's called Teach Your Cat Welsh.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Oh, I've seen their books before. They're quite cool.
Yeah, I think the intent is not actually for your cat to learn Welsh. I think it's you accidentally teaching yourself Welsh is the main aim. But yeah. Anyway.
Okay,
Clever.
So I'm assuming she wants you to learn Welsh, and that's the bit that goes.
She can actually speak a bit of Welsh. She, Cowan will probably relate to this. She was doing a Welsh course, and then her regular teacher didn't turn up, so they had a stand-in teacher. But the stand-in teacher thought she was teaching a North Walian class. And she started speaking, and all the students couldn't understand a word of what she was on about.
No.
Yeah, and I'm glad she wanted to learn the right. Sorry, the South Walian, not the right. The right one. Yeah.
Even I know that's a big no. You done cross that barrier. Okay, so shall we get on to this week, boys?
Let's do it. Right, you is the first topic because we had Mart at the park.
Mart at the park. I like it. So, as the name kind of suggests, I managed to get to the park on Friday evening. An actual nice surprise from the missus. I had no idea I was going until about 6:15. And bear in mind, I live just over an hour away now, so that was really cutting it close. Got to the ground, as always. Got this lovely new away shirt. If anyone's watching, the audio listeners, I'm wearing it now. It is a stunning piece of kit.
Don't spoil it. We've got a whole section on it later.
Ooh, okay. I'll leave that there.
Obviously, got it on yet.
Shirts and skins. All right. No, obviously in the ground, I only managed Cardiff last season ticket holder before that. So, massive differences, going from that to this. But I love every second I get to spend in that ground, and the atmosphere is purely second to none. And I know crowd numbers aren't the best, but the atmosphere still there is unreal. And quite frankly, it's a great night out if you can get to it.
It
That's
is
the thing, I
decent.
think, isn't it? With Parc y Scarlets, you could have 10 people in there watching a game of rugby, and the atmosphere would be bouncing. As in, going to sound very biased and one-eyed, but I don't care. I do think we have some of the best fans in the world, and we generate an atmosphere even when we're probably not playing our best rugby.
No, I'm with you 100%. I mean, just the Welsh people are known for singing, and I think the further west you go, the better it
We're the
gets.
best. Our fans are the best singers in Wales.
Oh, by far, I reckon. I mean, apart from Cardiff, I don't think the others have any real songs, do they?
Cardiff isn't a song.
Oh, no, I think the Dragons have got a few. They're the Ole Ole Ole, isn't they?
That's Ponty, though, isn't
They've
it?
got a few. Well, yeah, but unfortunately, Ponty don't play at the highest level anymore. So the
Not even a
Dragons have.
second.
Well, let's not get into that. This is a Scarlet pod, but the Dragons got a few chances. But as for our not so noisy neighbours, then yeah, that's another story.
Yeah, we don't talk about the zero space, do we? Okay. Hugh put together a lovely video. It's all over our socials. If you get a chance to have a look at it, be brilliant if you like, share, subscribe if you're even on the YouTube channel. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, think if Star Wars had Sam Costello in it, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, that sounds exactly how I imagined it when I sent you everything to put together, even though you used, 5 seconds of my clips. That's about it.
It is this how it works, mate. It's just
The best
10
5
hours.
seconds, though, Matt. The best 5 seconds.
I know.
10 hours of footage for every 1 minute that makes it the final cut. That's how the best do it.
All right, okay. I'll have to believe you for the time being. So, little matter of the actual game. So, Carwyn, I'll come to you first. But overall thoughts on the game?
It's sort of been the story of the season, really, isn't it? As in, I remember before the season started, one thing I asked for was for us to be in games. And to be fair, they're ticking that box every game so far. As in, so I can't fault that effort. But it's just poor game management at the wrong time. We seem to get ourselves into positions to win games, and then I don't know if it's fitness or if it's we took the ball, oh no, 75th minute, sorry, so from the kickoff, and instead of just going through one more phase so that we were back in the 22 and that we could clear it off the park, we decided to box kick it in field, which ultimately led to the winning penalty. And it's frustrating because they put such an effort in to get themselves into the winning position. It must, as in, I think Josh McLeod's interview after the game sort of sums up how much it hurts the players. And this might sound harsh, but I'm glad it does hurt them that much because A, it shows they care, and B, it shows that they want to turn this around. It's just winning's a habit, but so's losing. And at the moment, we're in a habit where we don't know how to win. And until we get out of that, I fear it's going to be a tough old watch. But in terms of performance, I thought they gave it their all, and yeah, just lacking concentration at the wrong time, unfortunately, cost us definitely a second win of the season. But yeah, so no, a bit flat after it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with much there, except I think we should have 3 wins under our belt at this point. I think the only thing that really annoys me is, the first 2 tries were basically carbon copies of each other. Now, I know obviously the second try was down to 14 men, but it just seemed so simple. They have, obviously the first one was a line out, ruck, 2 passes behind. What was it? Carty kicks to the corner. Obviously, Johan Nicholas messes up the first one. But then they start from the scrum the next time, exactly the same, 2 passes, Carty to the corner, and it was just a walk-in. It was just, they didn't have to work for their tries, which is, something we're seeing, which I don't like. And when we see how we had to work for our tries, we did have to put a bit of graft in it. It was proper. Like, if we look at our second try, it was literally a good drive downfield, then Johnny Williams taking the ball on, standing at 12. Eddie James at 13, which was nice to see them interchanging. We'll probably get onto that in a little bit. He makes that line break, passes the ball in behind the line of defense, and it's just it was a 4-on-1. So, that was executed well. And the first try, we literally just grunted out, got to their line, and, Cowdo, found the gap and just dived over.
One chance, one try, wasn't it?
Yeah. Execution is something we asked for after last week, and we did get a bit of that, which was nice, obviously. But even though our defense is improving, generally, those moments, they're crucial in games. Obviously, every moment is crucial in games. And we just not quite at it. Like, with that third try, there must have been at least 3 opportunities to bring the man down before they even got close to the try line. So, that's about as far as I want to talk about. What about you, Bert?
Yeah, I think if you look at how many tries have we conceded this season, 10, I think 8 of those you can say, if our player doesn't make that mistake, we don't concede that try. I think one of Cardiff's tries was Cardiff's actually creating it. I think, like you said, the Connacht, I don't know what to think about their second try, because
we were
I'm
narrow.
not sure. Yeah, Johan Nicholas makes a mistake, as in he slips. But then, would Tom Rogers have got there if he was on the pitch? I don't know. I think there's just a bit of disorganisation from us. But I think you have to credit Connacht. I thought their attacking kicks were really good in that first period. And then, like we said about Benetton, is I think their last try was good. I think their first 2 tries came from our poor exits, which was another theme, as Carwyn said, in this game. So frustrating, especially all 3 games we've been in winning positions in different circumstances, obviously with Cardiff being 15-0 up in 10 minutes gone. But just let it go again. And it's massive improvement from last year when we weren't even in games at all for most of the season. Whereas this season we're already massively in games, but unfortunately we're now letting winnable fixtures slip, which is just frustrating. And we all said, didn't we, that out of this first block we need to win 4. Well, it's been 3 games and we haven't won any of them. But that's kind of doesn't really tell the story of what's been happening, really. It's just massively frustrating not to get the W, because we're sat here again convincing everybody that no, we actually were good, we just didn't win. Which, obviously there's lots more to talk about when we get into the nitty-gritty of it, but just as a feeling, as a fan watching it, we were all gutted, and a lot of the reactions on socials after the game were quite angry. But I think it wasn't the kind of anger where it was last season, where, like, after the Bulls game or something, where we were just absolutely fuming of an awful performance. It's just angry of they'd given us hope and then just lost it right at the end, and just everyone was feeling very emotional. So progress, like I said, but it's just I can't say the word frustrating again because I could get sick of myself, but that's what it is.
You're frustrated at being frustrated. I'm with you. So if we go down to the bare bones of the game and we look at the 23 that we actually selected, now I made the point last week that I don't like players who've been injured for a while coming straight back into the 15. With also it was it was Josh McLeod last week. This week it was Johan Nicholas and Sam Lousy, and apart from that early bit of brain fart, we shall call it, from Johan Nicholas, he had a good game. He was fairly solid. Lousy, on the other hand, was very much like the Lousy when we first signed him, a bit of a penalty machine. So I'm getting annoyed at the lack of our use of our bench as well. We didn't use two players, and I don't think Page came back on after his little cameo either. So that's obviously another thing that needs looking at. Did you have any issues with that 23?
I don't think I had issues with the 23. No, I was happy with some of the players who dropped down to the bench because of what we talked about last week in terms of bringing an impact. So I was happy to see Johan Lloyd and Max Page on the bench because they can bring an impact off the bench, and I was kind of almost happy for Alex Gray to be on the bench as well because he was an impact. I think he finishes like our second top defenders beaten player. He's ridiculous, but. Yeah, like you said, unused subs again. It's such a recurring problem, and a lot of people are asking, what is If and Jones doing now? Is he just there purely as injury cover to Cowdor? Because now we're just seeing Sammy and Cowdor. If they're picks, they're playing the full 80, and they know that, and we all know that, and it's just frustrating. I thought
There is.
Yeah, and we've talked about Carmen Tuipulotu enough. Carmen, what was your thoughts on the selection of the back row? Because it was with two sevens really. Tane at 8, we'll talk about in a minute, but with Dan Davis and Josh McLeod, what did you make of that as a balance?
Um, there's something not quite right in it. I did like Tane at 8. I think that experiment worked quite well. Um, I don't know. It didn't feel like a complete back row. And I also felt a bit for Jared Taylor, who played quite well in the first two games, I thought, as in he'd looked busy around the park, and then just to miss out was a strange one. I don't know, as in I think Dan Davis and Josh McLeod are both very good players, but have um have what you call it, have injuries started to take its toll, and they might not be as good as they have been in the past. Personally, I think I would have gone with Plumtree, McLeod, and Tui Pelotu of the 23 that was picked. But that's just I don't know. We're not firing on all cylinders, and I feel like the first two games, our pack has been tremendous, and there were signs there that the weaknesses we had of last season um, had been sorted, and we'd become a bit of a force up front. But it just feels like we're not quite there yet again, and yeah, I don't know what. I think personally, I'd have probably started with Craig and Max Douglas, and possibly brought Sam Lousy on for the last 20 for a bit of razzmatazz. But yeah, I don't know. There's clearly something not right there, because we're getting into positions to win matches, and yet we're sat here for the third week in a row discussing two defeats and a draw, which felt like a defeat because of it. And yeah, I don't know. As in, he's got a bit of a dilemma, I think, with that back row. What's the best way of doing it? Is he going to go for a mobile ball carrying back row, or is he sort of going to try and get a balance where you might have a defensive linchpin, a traditional jackler, and a bit of a bruiser at 6? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is an awkward one. We do have a lot of good back row players. I don't think we have a pure 7 anymore. Dan Davis and McLeod early in their careers, yes, 100% they were, but I think they're more, well, Josh is more of a 6'8" now than anything, and I'd say Dan Davis is more of a 6.5. Like, we don't have, that Thomas Young, Dan Thomas style of player, Cubby. Essentially, we don't have that type of player in there anymore. Obviously, we got some young boys in the academy coming through. Maybe one of them can fill that gap in a few years. My preferred back row is going to be Plumtree, McLeod with Tua Plot to a date. Like you've said, I think that is, while Fafita is out, that is the best one we can really field, for starting. It's all about managing it and getting that balance right. I think that's our best option. Like we've talked about balance in our back row a couple of times. Like first week was having Tain and Vaya, then it was having Taylor and McLeod. Now it's McLeod Davis. Where's this? Where are we going to find that actual right fit?
Yeah, I got nothing really to add on the selection. It's just use all the subs, Dwayne. Again, we said it last week. We're naming a subs bench because we have to, because it's in the rules. But are we really in a position where we've only got one scrum half that the coach is happy to see on for the full 80?
It's not good. So
sorry, just on that with the scrum half, is it a case that on one side of the spectrum, you've got a player who's played 251 games for the region, I think over 70 caps for Wales, and trusted against did he play 2 or 3 games last season in Evan Jones? Is it a case that because the games are so tight, Peel doesn't want to risk it because Cowder might be able to see a win through for us? I don't know. As in, I do find it a bit strange that he's not making the substitution, but there must be a reason for it, for him to stick with Cowder for 80 minutes. Is in the hope that he thinks, he'll spring something from nowhere that might get us the win, and I don't want to risk losing that.
Yeah, quite possibly. Evan made one start, which I believe was against Leinster.
I think it was Connacht away.
Connacht was it, and then one bench appearance as well. So not a lot of rugby, professional rugby for. Okay, he wasn't third choice last season, but someone who was going to be third choice this season. He did get a few games, down at SRC, what was Welsh Premiership level. But yeah, I mean, he's not a kid. He's not, 20, 21, 22, even though Archie Hughes is, and we see him probably a lot more trusted. He's got a calm head on him. He's played rugby for senior rugby then for quite a few years. He's a solid 9. He's more of a controlling 9 than your typical Cowd or even Archie, who will up the tempo, who will try to attack. But you can't just have someone making up numbers on the bench. So we'll probably come on to that as we talk more for Cardiff next week. So
yeah, so I just want to touch on a couple of stats. To be honest, the stats weren't that exciting for this game, but there's a couple of stats that I just do want to call out, which I'm going to show to you now. The set piece stats. So let's talk about scrums first. So another week where Alec Hepburn has struggled at scrum time.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it, Mark?
Yeah. Last week, I thought he was done a little bit dirty by the ref. I did say that on the pod, and I will still back that. This week, oh my, I can't defend him. His form wasn't right. He wasn't getting himself comfortable before going in. And if you watch the scrums against Cardiff compared to the scrums against Connacht, you will see the difference when he hinges or when the tight head is overextending. You'll see the way his body folds. And yeah, 100% the right decision to hook him off at halftime. It's raising some quite big concerns for me, because obviously we know how solid Wyn Jones was, and he probably would cost less than Alec. Considering this is his home region, etc. He wanted to stay near the farm. Obviously, things didn't go that way. But yeah, Hepburn doesn't seem to be working out as such. Again, second game in, the time still has to be on his side, but for what is essentially a double international, loose head prop, he's not looking like much at the minute.
But flip side of that, when Kemsley came on, He won 2 scrum penalties, including one against the head.
Different animal.
We've spoken about Kems, especially actually probably over the last 18 months. We've spoken a lot about Kems and how good of a player he is, and how he is in that modern loose head role where he is very built, top heavy, and he's a brilliant player. I'm not quite sure why he had to pull out last week, but obviously it was just a niggle, probably a precaution more than anything. So yeah, this boy he's gonna hit some form soon, and people are really gonna know about him.
And the other stat that we had a bit of a chat about before we started recording, 92% line out win. In my book, we never lost a
Travesty.
line out in this game.
No, I think Karen agrees with this as well. I don't know how that percentage works out. So that's the one
Uh,
loss, that the
I've just Googled,
overthrow.
yeah, I've just Googled it, 13 out of 14. Although technically we caught the 14th. The problem was the referee was standing in the wrong place and thought it wasn't straight, but it was clearly a legitimate line out, but that's another story.
That's where we're going to leave our day. Our line out is still undefeated. It's
Yeah,
still
undefeated
perfect as
line
far as
out.
I'm concerned.
It shan't be disputed as far as we're concerned. I'm not going to go into too many other stats in this game because, to be honest, statistically, it wasn't a particularly interesting game. Um, let's talk about some star players then. So, who did you think played well? Who did you think came out of the game with credit?
Someone we've spoken about for a little bit over a year, Tom Rogers. I thought he had one of his better games for us. On the wing, our very first attack, that ball was spread from one touchline to the other from a line out, and he went through 2 opposite numbers, got a good 25 meters downfield before sort of being bumbled into touch, and it didn't end there. He played quite well, especially with ball in hand. Barring that little indiscretion where he got a yellow card, which I think was extremely harsh considering what actually happened and the timing on the game. Yeah, I was very happy with the Tom Rogers we saw on Friday night.
Yeah, I think he looked very solid in the opening game. He looked very solid in the preseason games, and we obviously since he's been moved out of that fullback role, we've had Johan Lloyd and Johan Nicholas both make 2 try-costing mistakes. So,
Do we think Rodgers gave Joe Nicholas a call and that the pass just didn't go to hand?
I mean,
I'm
potentially,
clutching at straws here. I'm clutching at straws here, as in it was a howler of an error, whatever way you look at it. But I just found it a very
yeah,
interesting pass if there wasn't a call.
yeah. I'm looking at where Tom Rogers' body is and his positioning, and I don't think he made that call.
Yeah.
He may have, but I'm not a back. I'm especially not a back 3 player. So I'm not going to be the definitive judge on this one. But like I said earlier, I think Johan Nicholas still came out to this game with money in the bank. Quite literally from the restart after that error, Connacht went for the exit, little box kick. He takes the high ball nice and easy, and I think he goes through four Connacht men before being brought down. I think it was only about 10 meters, but what a way to respond after making a howler. That was brilliant from Nicholas.
Yeah, head didn't drop, and he just sort of said, "Right, I'll make up for it." And I obviously we had the luxury of watching on the television, and Yo Nicholas actually had player mic on, and they sort of played the clip half time, and he sort of said, "On me, boys, on me, boys, on me, boys," and just it certainly didn't look like it had affected him in any way, shape, or form. So, which is good to see because obviously we've spoken about heads dropping on this pod and what have you. So it's good to see him just get on with it straight really, and yeah, put in a solid performance after that.
Something we do need to say about Johan, he is now one of the senior heads in
Yeah.
this squad. I know he's been around the game for 9 years. He's 26 years old. This is quite unbelievable.
yeah. Speaking of senior heads, what did you think of Cowdell's performance? His 250th maybe didn't go to plan, but what about his 251st?
I mean, 2 tries. You can't knock that. That's a fact. He got over that try line twice. Regardless of how easy that actual finishing movements were. The issues we're having with him at the minute are his exit kicks. We've discussed this at length personally. His kicks to compete are more or less bang on the money, but when it comes to those exits, they're just not quite finding the distance or even the accuracy we're looking for.
Yeah, I think exactly as you said, the box kicks are going well. I think the exits aren't going well. I think he's not getting anywhere near enough length. I've been watching other teams, and they're able to clear from their own try line to halfway, and we're getting like 20 meters on our exits. Like there was one where he passed it back to Sam Costello, and Sam Costello from in his own in goal area got out of the 22, whereas Cowder's struggling to get out of the 22 at the moment. So that's one thing he needs to fix. But his box kicks, in terms of kicking to compete, have been really, really good all season. And obviously 2 tries on the night. He was the record try scorer for scrum halves in the URC, and he's extended that lead by 2 tries, which is good to see. And he was on the receiving end of this lovely one. So this try, right? Do you think this is a set play?
I mean, I think so. I think the beginning of it is a set play, but what actually happens where Johnny decides to go for the line, I think that's his decision making. But it could be a case of this is a set play where people can make a decision at A, B, and C. It's just where that decision actually happens.
Because if you look at Cowder here, go on, Cowan.
No, my feeling was that it's one of those where the ball gets to Johnny, he looks up, and then he sort of decides what happens next. There's 3 possibilities that sort of you run during the play, based on what the defense does in front of you. And yeah, he chose the right option on Friday night.
Yeah, so if you look for it, and this is one for the YouTube viewers, if you look, Cowdell's here. This was pointed out by Sean Holly. He's already anticipating the line break, which doesn't happen for like 2 or 3 passes yet. And then I think this is Sammy's passed it to Hepburn. I want to say that is Johnny's already on his bike in the background, and he's going across the pitch. So it gets pulled back by Hepburn there, and now Johnny's got it. And this is the gap he ends up going through, I think, or maybe he goes through this gap and offloads it. So what's his name? Eddie James is shaping for it there.
Yeah.
So Eddie's got his hands up as if he's going to receive it here, and Johnny does dummy, and then he goes inside. It's actually quite a narrow gap, to be fair, and it speaks to Johnny's pace that he's able to get through that. And then he obviously goes through, gets the line break, and gets the offload away, and Eddie's away, and Cowdell's already on his inside. So it makes me think like that is a set play that they've anticipated. I don't know whether it's come from a bit of analysis where they've identified targeting this Connacht player. I don't know who it is, this Connacht player in particular.
Looks like Beelum.
Oh, it could be Beelum, yeah. So he's seen a tight head in front of him. And then obviously Eddie's already through the hole by the time the pass leaves the hands. So I'm going to play it through to the end because the Caddo ground the ball is really nice. So I kind of think that was a rehearsed one. Whether it was rehearsed for Connacht, because I try against Saracens in the pre-season game wasn't the same, but it came from the same kind of scenario. So I think this is perhaps like the blueprint. I would say that this is how Dwayne Peel wants to attack this try.
What I find fantastic with that clip is you see the exact reason why Gareth Davies is the leading scrum half try scorer in the URC, because he anticipates that happening so often, and as a good 9 is there waiting for the glory. As in, let's be honest, Eddie James could have finished that and looked amazing, but he thought, no, Cowdell's done the run, let's make him look even better. Bish bash bosh, he's under the posts.
Eddie could absolutely have stepped to this last man. Eddie's step is lethal.
He could have just got pinged for the corner. He's got the pace on him as well.
Battered him in if needed, but
3 options. He went for the 4th and passed it.
Yeah, he went for the wrong one there, but yeah.
And then finally, Tame Plumtree, last standout player. Another game at 8, another game where he's absolutely outstanding. Was into absolutely everything. He's an absolute animal. He wants to be the first to everything. Very typical Kiwi in terms of reacting the fastest to whatever's happening on the pitch.
Yeah. I have a niggle, I want to say, and there seems to be. It was a couple of times this game. I think it happened again against Cardiff, where he likes to, after he's tackled, he likes to leave go or try to get onto his feet, regather and go again. It happened on a couple of occasions this match, and it didn't work out. I don't know if he's been given the freedom to just show us some of your magic, because he has got that, but obviously time and place, and I believe it was one of them which led. I can't remember what it led to. I think it eventually led to corner points. Yeah, it was the yellow card for Tom Rogers. He got tackled, picked up one again. That ruck went all dodgy. The ball bounced out. Corner at 50-22. Rogers yellow card, and what was it, 2 or 3? I think it was like 2 lineouts later. They were in the corner.
Yeah, frustrating. On just going back to Eddie and Johnny, we touched on it earlier. They interchanged a lot in this game, and we spent like the last part of last season going, "Oh, we've got 2 12s here." Do you think it's starting to work? I mean, the combined stats, I'll pull them up in a second, but like, uh, they interchanged, they managed to work to each other's strengths. They don't seem like they're getting in each other's way anymore, which they were before. Mark, do you think this is a partnership that is now comfortable in Joe Roberts' absence?
Yeah, I really do. I'm trying to pull up how many times they actually played together last season, because it
It was
was
a few
quite a
times
bit.
in the end.
Yeah, so my only issue is they're a happily married couple right now. Essentially, they get to do what they want, go along. But as soon as Joe Roberts comes back, we know he's the out and out 13. Neither of them are going to displace him. So it is simply a case of they'll go from this lovely married couple to fighting who gets the best friend. So I mean, hopefully it doesn't end up that way, and we can see these relationships blossom with Joe Roberts as well. But I am liking it. We really didn't think of Johnny as someone who could play 13 until, what was it, late last season, when we not late last season, I think it was the season before, where we saw it for the first time. Saw it a lot more last season, and it is working. You can see the positives both have on each other. I mean, they're both very physical players. There's no doubt about that. They can both truck it up if needed. And yeah, I'm liking it. The old head and the young gun. We've got 3 very top notch centers once Joe Roberts is back and fit, and once you've got 3, at that standard, obviously a 4th would be nice, but you can't have everything. We can use Joe and Nicholas in there if we want to, for a bit of rotation. But yeah, that's going to be danger zone for a long time.
Yeah. I think, last player I want to shout out, Sam Costello, 4 from 4 from the tee. And some of those kicks were hard. They were hard kicks that he took on that a lot of other kickers wouldn't take on. So a lot of people had a lot to say last week when he missed a couple of kicks, and the way that he backed himself and was just like, "Give me the ball, I'm going to kick it over."
Yeah. So we saw Eddie and Johnny together 8 times last season. So they're going well. But yeah, Costello he's an animal. He's an unbelievable player. People forget he's 23, and this is essentially his first. Well, it's not even his first run of rugby yet, but his first run of rugby since the end of the 22-23 season.
Yeah, and he's I forgot what I was going to say now.
He needs to settle down in life in Llanelli and not move anywhere and stay with this until he's at least 30, and everything will be good.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I
100% agree with that.
now. I remember what I was going to say now. He's our top tackler 2 weeks in a row.
Animal. He's an absolute animal.
That worries me though, as in he's a fantastic player and shows that he's not afraid of the tackle, but our number 10 shouldn't be leading the tackle stats.
I think it's more of a case of this is where teams are trying to target. They think that he
I
might
feel
be a
like it's
weakness.
a change. I feel like, yeah, traditionally not, but I think it's changing in rugby. If you look at international fly halves, even someone like Fiji's fly half like Caleb Muntz is always their top tackler. Roman Untamag's always got huge tackle stats. I think it's just the way that rugby's going anymore. Analysis Gus explained it to me. It was he just said that basically nines and tens in terms of defense have been passengers for rugby up
Yes.
until now, and he's saying that at international level now you can't have passengers in defence. And to be fair, Bundy Aki was the one who ran at him, so uh, and Sammy didn't give anything. Can anyone remember Bundy Aki having a big carry that led to anything in this game?
Well, except for his yellow card.
Yeah, that's true. The only thing that
Hmm.
Aki got out of Sammy was a yellow card in this game.
I love Costello. He's okay. I don't want to call him a short man, but in rugby terms, he's not the tallest because he's taller than me, so I can't exactly say much. But for what he's got, I think he's 5'10". He's an absolute beast of a defensive player, and I've said that word repeatedly about him.
I thought
And
I thought he
people go on
challenged the
about, oh yeah.
Sorry, mate. I thought he challenged the line quite well in this game as well, which he hasn't done recently. There was a couple of times where he took the ball on, a couple of gaps, made the defenders ask questions. So I thought this was a much better, stronger game from him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Not the perfect Costello performance. We're probably not going to see that for a few more games yet, but definitely on his path back to where he was the last time he had a good run. I'm happy to see it, and I'm going to be happy to see it for the next 10 years as well. Okay, so that brings us on to our usual, instant reactions after the game, our 3-word thoughts over social media. So I believe one of you has done Facebook, one of you has done Twitter. So, Carwin, you ready?
Yeah, so I'm going down the Facebook route tonight, and it's interesting because last season I think the reaction would have probably been more one-sided in three-word thoughts, but it's very much split 50-50 really. So Paul and Mandy both went with should have won. Oh, sorry, do I need to give surnames? Sorry, just not. Just realised Paul and Mandy could be any two people in the world. Paul Daniels and Mandy Tucker both said that we should have won. Al Evans, more silly penalties. Phil Breakspear threw it away. Lee Patterson, own worst enemy. James Rogers, another long season. Andrew Goff, 5 from 25, which doesn't make great reading. Richard Morgan, same old story. Tony Barron, start Costas. Angharad Harv Roberts was in touch. Well, yeah, that's another story again. Gareth Young, don't blame Dwayne. And Owain Leclerc, please keep Peel. But I'm wondering maybe if some of these might be from
Yeah, Owen isn't a
fellow
Scarlets fan,
regions.
which is ironic
Sorry?
because Owen does have top fan next to his name on on Facebook,
Yeah,
but he's not a Scarlets fan.
yeah, no, I didn't think he was. But yeah, Hugh Williams, poor game management, agree with Hugh there. Um, Peter Green, not good enough. Mark Thomas, weak mentality again, and Colin Stroud, Gareth Davies is kicking. So yeah, clear disappointment because obviously, as we've already said, they sort of put a shift in for 70 odd minutes, and just I'd imagine those 3-word thoughts would have been completely different had the game finished at 70 minutes.
Yeah, it's the same on Twitter, really. Matt says bloody great effort, and he also says sloppy first 10. Hugh Aber says poor game management. Someone with an indiscernible username says one for Fifita away and too many brain farts. So it's a lot calmer than I was expecting. It's quite split, really. There are some negative ones that I'm not going to read out too much, but it's quite split amongst people. Of some people are like, yeah, I can see where this team is going, and some people are just sick of losing, really. Just on the 25 and 25 stat, it's quite specific. that number. And yes, it's 5 from 25, but if our last 5 games are 2 wins, a draw, and 2 losses, and one of the losses we lost by 1 point in the dying minutes of the game. So it's kind of I'm not that into that figure. Yes, if you boil it down to that, but then we finished the season before last with a Challenge Cup semi-final, so it's a bit selective for me. We all know how bad last season was for long periods, and you can go back and listen to the podcast that we did then, where we didn't mince our words about how bad it was. But reduce it down to 5 and 25, I think, isn't telling the story.
No, not at all. So that's that game done. So 3 games in, halfway through this first block. I mean, all right, we all kind of agreed we needed to win for this first 6, but that also means we only get to lose 2 of this first 6, and when we haven't lost 3 yet. So I mean, I think the word I could use for where I am right now is content. I'm content with how we're doing. I'm not happy about it. We do need that first win. So how are you guys actually feeling overall?
I'm disappointed, I think, with the fixtures we've had and the way we've played, to only return with a draw and a losing bonus point. I think doesn't make our doesn't give our players justice to where we are. But the reality is, and I just fear it's going to be a long season. We just need to get that W on the board, because the longer we go with that one, the harder it'll get. And um, I genuinely thought we could have been 3 from 3 when the fixtures came out. As in, when I said win 4 of the first 6, I sort of thought maybe win the first 3 and even win the fourth Cardiff away, because obviously we did it last year. But we're now looking at, yeah, we're not sitting pretty. And when you think Edinburgh and Benetton are the 2 below us in the table, as in, obviously stranger things have happened, but I can't see them being there come
I
the
can
end
see
of the
Edinburgh being
season.
there. They've got issues.
Oh, sorry.
I can see Edinburgh being there. They've got issues.
Major.
Yeah, well, so have we. The reality is, so have we, as in,
Well, we're not as
um,
bad as them. I
no, I'm not saying
promise.
we're not as bad as them, but at the moment, we're only above them on points difference. So, um, I don't know. I just think we need to quickly get that W
Mhm.
just to install a bit of confidence in the team, because if we go first 6 without winning a game, we're in some trouble. Now, I'm not saying we'll do that, but we need to eradicate the mistakes and put in an 80-minute performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. If we, I don't think it will happen, but if we go the first 6 without winning the game, that I think that's our season. You
Definite.
know.
Definite. Consolation
Yeah,
Europe.
absolutely.
Okay, so we don't like talking about the referees, but I know you guys had some issues watching on TV. I certainly had a lot of issues being there live. So we're gonna try and be very very quick on this. And Hugh, I'm gonna come straight for you a little referee moan.
Yeah, like you said, Mark, we don't like doing too much referee chat, but it's kind of been, I've publicly stood up for URC referees a lot, and it's not just in this game. The standard at the beginning of the season has been really subpar, and if it's keeping it specific to the game on Friday, things like the referee was blowing his whistle and then not really knowing why he'd done it. We talked about the line out throw that was straight and he's called it not straight, and then he's tried to pin it on the AR, saying, "Oh, the AR's called it," and the AR's going, "No, I didn't." Like, to be fair, the TMO came and correctly chalked off that Connacht try for the obstruction. But things like Tom Rogers' yellow card, I think just have a bit of empathy. I don't think he did stop the quick throw. Yeah, he has stopped the quick throw by touching the ball, but there's no rule that says you can't touch the ball. It's a bit of a loophole in rugby laws, really, is that you can't prevent the quick throw, but if you touch the ball, you have prevented it because a quick throw can't then be taken. But it's basically saying if the ball goes out of touch, goes into touch, on a 50-22, you're not allowed to try and touch it. And if you're trying to keep it in and you get your timing a millisecond out and you touch it, it's an automatic yellow card. And for me, that's just not correct. Um, and other things around the game. There was another line-out penalty where Connacht caught a line-out completely fine, nothing happened, and the referee's blown his whistle and given it for interference in the air where our player didn't even jump. So just all round, I thought just weak management of the game, really. And I thought it was the same for both the teams. I don't think he was in favour of one team or the other. I think for both teams he wasn't great. And then yeah, like we've just seeing it around the league quite a lot at the moment of just the kind of mistakes that we shouldn't really be seeing at this level.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was actually quite excited when I saw the first round of referee announcements. Everyone actually neutral. There wasn't, Irish referees refereeing Irish games, etc. So it is quite disappointing. Now, for me being there live, the assistants didn't, well, especially in front of me where I was, didn't want to use that offside line. They didn't want to officiate there because it seemed that Connacht were always at least a yard in front, and there was one incident where the players hadn't even got close to being back on side, where they just turned around and started carrying on the line of defence in front of the AR and nothing happened. But these things happen. Nothing can be done about it now. It's done. It's gone. So
That's one thing that I want to add, sorry, is that their number 6, I can't remember his name now. Their number 6 gave away 4 penalties and the Maul defence. I think he gave away 3 in the first 15 minutes, and I think they gave away 6 penalties in total at Maul defence, no yellow card. So for me, that's just pretty basic kind of refereeing.
okay, let's leave that where it is. So how we've seemed to have a regular fan letter as of late. Did we get anything in this week?
Oh yes, we did. Oh yes, we
No.
did. Would you like me to tell you what we've received this week?
I gotta say yes, haven't I? I can't say no now.
Yeah, well, it's from Jack from Lucker, and he says this. He says, I listened to your pod last week where you celebrated scoring the fastest try of the URC. Well, that didn't last long, did it? Regarding the game, I was appalled to see a Scarlets player, Johnny Williams, making a line break and an offload in one slick movement. Of course, any player on any team should finish the game with 0 line breaks, 0 offloads, and preferably 0 points scored as well. Why is a 13 even getting the ball? Ridiculous. Yours, Jack from Lucker. Are we ridiculous, Carwin?
No, I don't think we are. I think we just play what's in front of us. It's not our fault that not every side is blessed with players capable of making line breaks and offloads. And I'd encourage any other player in the country maybe to look at Johnny Williams, especially if they're playing the centre, at how to catch a ball in a rugby game, as in might learn a thing or two, and who knows, Max Page's record might still be standing if catching lessons were handed out to players.
Just is what it is, really. And I do think people should take note of Johnny Williams' incredible catching ability, especially at 13. So, is that it from Jack, or has he
That's
written
all
any
from
more?
Jack this week.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so you stopped me a bit earlier, but now we get to talk about it a little bit more. We have a very beautiful, very... there's too many lovely words to describe this shirt. An alternate jersey, I think, is how they announced it originally. So, audio listeners, I'm really sorry. So, I'm going to stand up by here so you can maybe see it a bit better. I don't know if the lighting in here is any good, but can you see all the different colorings on there?
It's blue.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So,
and it's black as well.
yes. Yeah, I think it's like a black navy sort of blue color. Obviously it's a take on the very first color worn by a Llanelli team way back when. But yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, when we saw it on a webcam, so it looked like claw marks, but it's not. It's just a nice little pattern. There's a few different shades on here, but don't get me wrong, the price point is way off for me. I'm surprised I actually bought it in the end. But I'm
Great marketing.
no, I really like it. It's probably one of them.
I pulled it up here. There you go.
Here we go. It's a lovely kit. There's quite a few different colors on there. I do like. Well, I'm wearing it. That's so much I like. And I don't think I've ever bought a
It's
brand
got
new
long
kit
sleeves
before.
on Joe as well. You were saying before we came on that it's got quite long sleeves. But it's got long sleeves on the player as well.
Look at where it is on his bicep though. Mine is literally over my elbow. This. Oh, that's
Get
it.
in
The
the gym
size.
then,
The
Matt.
size
Get in the gym.
Can't go in the gym, man. I embarrass people. It's no good luck.
You've been banned from the gym. We don't talk about it.
Oh, it's like that, is it? Not your friend no more. Go away.
I do think that the red scarlets and Castle logos look all right against it as well. I just generally it's quite modern, I think, and it's quite wearable, I'd say. I think you could wear it out and about. Maybe it'd be a bit nicer if it didn't have the sponsor logo on it. Not that the sponsor logo is ugly, it's just quite big and it looks like a sponsor logo.
I think because
Yeah.
it's the only white on the shirt as well. Or I know there's is it on the shoulder? There's a bit of white, but it's quite sort of striking on the front when you've sort of just got the red, black and blue. I still love it though. I tweeted 3 words to sum it up. I went Dia Santa, diolch, and that was my sort of summary of the kit. So yeah, if I've been good enough, hopefully I shall be receiving it as a gift from Father Christmas this year.
I'm gonna be waiting for it to be on Vinted in 2 years for £3 and then buy it then.
Yeah,
Oh, that's no good. I mean, for me, like I can go back to when we announced the Gavin Griffiths Group as our main sponsor, and the actual logo they used then, it didn't have any of the writing, although we should have obviously kind of expected it was going to end up there. But yeah, their logo would have looked really nice just on its own in the middle. But there we go. There we have it. It's still a lovely shirt, and I'm very much enjoying this. I have already worn it out and about. I wore it on the school run earlier, so happy days. Some not so nice news to talk about. There's some naughty people from up in England trying to poach players again. So what are we thinking about this rumor of Costello returning? I have to say returning because he did spend a bit of time there, to Leicester.
It makes sense. Apparently, Pollard, who is Leicester's current 10, is going to be off. I'm hearing Japan as a rumor. He's on a reported 600k a year, which in rugby terms is crazy money, especially for what they're getting for that. He's obviously been down with South Africa in the Rugby Championship up until now, so he's missed the first 3 rounds of the Premiership. And I just don't think that's the right money that Leicester should be spending. But I don't think that they should spend it on, or I don't think we should let them spend it on Sam Costello either. I think it makes sense. It's not a crazy rumor, but it just, Martin, Carwin, you go first before I do my piece.
I think it makes perfect sense for them to be interested in him because obviously they let him go as a boy and he'll be returning as a man. I just hope for our sake more than his sake, but for his sake that he makes the right decision and stays in Wales because obviously he's got aspirations, I'd imagine, of winning a shed load of caps for Wales. And if he stays with the Scarlets, then obviously he'll get rested, he'll get treated better, and he won't be expected to play in international windows. And to be honest with you, Leicester didn't want him a few years ago. They let him go. So tough, they can't have him back. He's our player now, and we will not let him go. Plus, anywhere but Leicester. Come on. I still remember the cheating. I won't swear. Because you might be listening and it's not 9 o'clock. When Kingston moved forward a meter and hit 3 posts without penalty. So for me, he could sign for not anybody in the world because that's a bit extreme, but he could go to a lot of places before Leicester. So no, don't go, Sam. If you're listening, please stay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on, Matt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just actually looking out to see, how many Wales caps he actually had, and just one more season of playing every single game won't cut it for the 25 cap rule if that's still
I
in
wouldn't be
force.
surprised if he banks on that going though. I think there's probably a lot of players in Wales just expecting that rule to be canned.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I think this really does go to show, how good Sam actually is. Sheedy was allowed to come back to Wales last season. There's no rumours for Ben Thomas or I can't even think of any other really decent Wales tens going around. He is, by far the best available Welsh ten inside Wales. Like, all right, you got Anscombe over in Gloucester, but like I said, that is in Gloucester, and he's a different age profile, a different style of player. I've just checked for his Wales caps now, and I've seen he's only 5'8", so he's my height, so he's even smaller. So those defensive stats are even more impressive now. But Sam is an amazing player, and we can't let him go. I would 100% understand it if he did, but it break my heart. I mean, I know we've got a couple of youngsters coming through, but they're a good few years off yet. And that's only start making your first odd appearance off the bench, not starting running the game from 10.
Yeah, for me, if I flip it from Sam's point of view, I can see why. I can see an angle where he might want to leave because if you look at his career in the last 18 months, he displaced Reece Patchell as first choice at the Scarlets. He took us to a European semi-final, went to a World Cup, played the full 80 when we beat Georgia, had a really nice game there. Obviously started the World Cup warm-up game where we beat England. Then he goes to the World Cup, doesn't get that many minutes, and then throws an intercept to Sanchez, which it happens. Then he starts the Barbarians game for Wales, gets injured. Then they try and rush him back for the Boxing Day fixture against the Ospreys. He's named in the team, then pulls out last minute. He wasn't ready. They rushed him. Then he goes into the Dragons game, makes a huge impact on the game, completely transforms the Scarlets all on his own, and then misses the kick in front of the sticks. And then it's just been an absolute avalanche of. He's fully felt the brunt of being Wales 10. So he misses that kick in the Dragons game. Then he goes and starts away in Claremont, gets a concussion, and then is out. And his first game back is Scotland in the Six Nations, starting at home for 10 for Wales in the Six Nations, gets injured again. And then he's in and out of the Wales team for the rest of the Six Nations with injuries. And then he's back with us, not back with us, injured, not injured. And like we said, if he's fit, he's playing the full 80. He didn't get more than 2 starts in a row. Then he goes on the Wales tour. He loses his starting spot to Ben Thomas, and I think Ben Thomas is absolute class, but he's a 12, he's not a 10. And then it's just been every week, when being a Welsh 10, like I said, everyone's got a view on him, but every week when people have decided they don't like him, it's a different thing. Like last week, it's his goal kicking, and then this week he kicks 4 from 4, all really hard kicks, and he kicks them. Like, oh well, he missed touch in that one game 6 weeks ago. Oh well, he knocked the ball on, as if like down in South Africa, someone like Sasha Feinberg and Gomazuli doesn't make 5 mistakes like that every single game, but he's still amazing. I'm not saying that Sammy's the Welsh Sasha, but the young tend to make these mistakes, and yeah, he's not. He's in a bit of a dip in form, but he with the way that the Scarlets are, he's just going to get played through it because, like you said, if he's fit, he's playing the full 80, and it's a bit of a watershed moment for the Scarlets, really, if he goes, because what we have is a high potential player who could go on to win 50 plus caps for Wales as a starting fly half, and the question is the Scarlets the environment to create a player like that? And if he leaves because of the stick that he's been getting, which is what Welsh fly halves get. If he leaves because he hasn't got a senior fly half either in the Scarlet squad or in the Scarlets coaching team for him to learn off and to look up to, if it's because he's playing in teams that are performing poorly behind packs, at international level as well, that are going backwards, and everyone's blaming him, then the reason that if Sam Costello doesn't go on to win 50 caps for Wales, it's not because of Sam Costello. It will be because he's been mishandled. So the question I think the Scarlets have got to ask themselves is, are we the club that handles a young player of that much talent correctly? And if he leaves, the answer is no. And that means there's got to be a lot of soul searching. So basically, it's not acceptable if Sam Costello leaves the Scarlets, in my opinion.
No, it's not at all. And I already think he's being mishandled by Wales. I mean, he's had five, in my opinion, he's had five competitive starts in that 10 role, and he's played with three different nines. The fact that he played 120 minutes, had a concussion, and was shoved into the 10 shirt. Like, who does that? He's a baby essentially in terms of rugby. And I know I use that term a lot, but he's 23 years old, and we are talking 8 months ago. So
If you compare him to Dan Biggar, for example, Dan Biggar got his first Wales cap in 2008 and didn't get picked again until 2013.
Well, it was only when he was 23 for Dan Biggar when he actually started getting the number 10 jersey at the Ospreys. It wasn't until he was 25 that he actually started getting, regular minutes in the 10 jersey for Wales. So, Dan Biggar's career progression is a great way of how you do manage a 10 and make someone into a great player. Costello's the exact opposite. Injured, chucked straight in, injured again, we'll chuck you straight back when we can. Okay, it's the summer now, here we go. Oh no, we're going to let 12 play in front of you. Like, what are you doing to this kid's confidence? It can't be nice for him. And we've seen what the Welsh media can do with Welsh 10s, especially Scarlet 10s in the past. It's no secret that Priestland left for this very reason, and he could have easily had another 40, 50 caps in him. And, he didn't do too bad anyway, did he?
Absolutely.
So that brings us on to another bit of news. I'm assuming by Simon, you're referring to Simon Mudrak, our CEO. He had a little interview, didn't he? Where he's basically backed a URC Premiership merger. So yeah, that's the wind up. I'm just gonna let you boys go. Who's chiming in first? Carwyn. I pointed the wrong way.
Do you go here?
Oh,
I go. Sorry, it feels like there's an awkward silence. Have I gone? Has my Wi-Fi gone funny?
no, it's just the awkward silence.
Right. Yes, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, I've often thought Welsh English derbies would attract good crowds, and you'd get more of an away support, for instance, if you were entertaining Gloucester or Bristol compared to maybe when Benetton or Zebra or any of the South African teams come to town, just because of the geography of it. The reality is at the moment, I think the English setup is in as much trouble as any other setup, in terms of financial and clubs on the verge of potentially going bust. So as things stand, I'd probably say I don't want an Anglo-Welsh league. An Anglo-URC is something that could work. I think it's just there's little things with the URC that I don't think benefits Welsh regions. The cost of travel must be astronomical, especially when you sort of look at our fixture list this season, for instance. The last 2 weeks of the season, probably 2 and a bit weeks because of getting there and stuff, is out in South Africa. So it's just a lot of cost. And when you think we're sort of budgeting on a shoestring as it is, I just feel like if there's a way of reducing that cost, and I know it's probably worse for the South African teams because they've got to travel out of South Africa for half their games. We've got 2 games in South Africa. So I don't know, I just feel like if there's a way of maybe uh lowering our costs, it would be better for us. But as in terms of bringing the English teams in, I don't think they'd want to join the entire league. I think they'd want a smaller breakout, and I don't think an Anglo-Welsh league is the right answer now. I think that ship's probably sailed by now.
Who?
Yeah, I'm so sick of the Anglo-Welsh argument. There's people who've made up their minds, and there's nothing you can say to change their minds. There's no facts, figures, or anything that you can bring to anybody on to sway anybody's point of view. I will say that the Simon's interview was part of a full podcast with Wales Online. I haven't listened to the full thing, so hands up on that. And if you actually read the article, Simon does give quite a nuanced answer about it. But so about a year ago, or the start of this year, Sam Warburton did a very similar type piece for this. It wasn't an interview; he wrote a column for the Times. And at the time, I said, Sam is obviously a board member at Cardiff, and I said, well, imagine what he'd have done if he'd have said, the URC is great, and Cardiff are playing it every season, and they've got a massive game coming up, and you can come and see that game to watch the best rugby that you'll see played in this league. Tickets are available here. And I think if you're getting interviewed by Steph Thomas from Wales Online, he's going to ask about that because it's his pet topic. During the summer he was writing 2 articles a week about it at one point. So whether I don't know when Simon did this interview, if he did it a while ago and it's only been put out now. Yeah, but it just is, we saw the crowd numbers from Friday. It doesn't help, does it? And for me, if I'd have been in that situation, if I knew I was going to be interviewed by Stephen Thomas, I'd know he's going to ask me that question. So he'd say, "What do you think of the URC and a potential Anglo-Welsh merger?" All I'd say is, "We're in the URC and we've got a big game on Friday, and it's going to be awesome, an awesome level of rugby, and people should come along and watch it because it's brilliant." Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what makes everything better, isn't it? So I said exactly the same thing about Sam Warburton when he had his thing, doing the same thing at the beginning of the year. So I have to say the same thing about this as well.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Hugh. And, I don't care if Simon is right and the URC Anglo League would be better for us. The fact is that's not where we are right now. We need to big up our own product, regardless whether or not we believe in it. We need to make it the best possible, not go wishing for something else. But yeah, we got a massive game this Saturday against Cardiff. Come down and watch. It's almost sold out. So why not join the fans and see Scarlets get their first win of the season? It'll be absolutely amazing. That's basically all we need to see. So, any last words on any little tidbits now? Or can I go into my community section really quick?
You can go into the community section.
Go into it.
Yay, sharing my screen. Here we go. I'm going to try and get through this really fast. SRC, massive shock victory. Cardiff, 50 points to Carmarthen Quins 0. Cardiff actually went down to 14 through a red card as well, which makes this even worse. We had a few academy boys involved. We had Badham at 15, Gabriel McDonald at 12, Keanu Evans making his first start at 7. On the bench, we had Isaac Young and Rodri Lewis. Llanelli cannot buy a win at the minute. It was 28. I don't know. This was the first defense of the Challenger Shield as well. So they'd scrapped back into this game, got to 28 all, and literally with the last kick of the game, Ebbw won it. Jack Davis, Steph Jack Jones, Will Evans, Morgan Jones, all in the starting 15. Gabe Hawley making his debut off the bench as well. I will say for this, Steph Jack Jones, 4 conversions from 4. Well done to that young man on his first start. Games this week. On the Thursday night, Llandovery are travelling to Newport. Doesn't make for great viewing for Llandovery, but the only win they've had so far this season has come on live TV. So there we go. Carmarthen Quins are hosting Pontypool, hoping to bounce back. More of that on our SRC podcast. You'll find that later this week on Thursday. All Cup action now in the lower divisions. So in the Premiership Cup, Llangennech lost 47-11 away to Cross Keys. Newcastle Emlyn couldn't actually raise a side through injuries, and with their second team being now part of the WR leagues, there's permit situation. It's just all dodgy. So they actually, withdrew for this match. So Merthyr go through. And Narberth getting their first win of the season, 28-22 over Bonamine. Back into league action this coming Saturday. Llangennech hosting Cardiff Met, Newcastle Emlyn hosting Neath, and Narberth travelling away to Pontypridd.
Into the situation, not being able to raise a team at that level.
It's a dodgy one, because if this was last season, they would have been able to do it no problem. It's literally the case of, because they've entered a seconds team into the WRU leagues, there's different rules on using them players in a different league, and you can only have X amount of permit players, per team anyway. So with the injury, I spoke to Guillaume, their secretary, and he literally said, because of these new rules, it's just almost impossible for them to raise the side, because they would have much happier let their seconds team not have a game and let their first play, but the seconds didn't even have a game anyway. So it just made it worse that they had enough boys to play the game, but because of the restructure and the rules, they weren't legal. They weren't, permitted to put a full team out. It's really, really dodgy. So Championship Cup, Llanelli Wanderers in an All-Scarlet derby, winning 41-18 away to Ammanford. Crymych just narrowly losing out 28-27 away to Gowerton. Championship West League kicks back off, and Crymych get an instant chance at revenge, hosting Gowerton this time round. Ammanford travelling to Maesteg Quins, and Llanelli Wanderers getting a bye. Into the Division 1 Cup, Barryport lost 37-26 away to Bridgend Athletic. Wellinville losing 20-33 at home to Swansea Uplands. Kidwelly going down 13-18 at home to Aberavon Green Stars. Hendy getting a win 25-19 away to Morriston, and Tenby winning 35-7 at home to Ponta Delais. One West fixtures for this week. Barryport at home to Pencloud. St Clair's travel to Ponta Delais. Aberystwyth going to Tenby. Kidwelly travelling to One Island, and Hendy hosting Wellinville. Division 2 Cup. Again, more teams now being able to raise teams. So Aberavon Quins go through over Milford. Carmarthen Athletic go through over Fishguard, a game that was actually played last week between those two. Larne won 20-10 away to Mumbles, and Whitland went down 13-29 at home to Resolven. So two West fixtures for this week. Carmarthen Athletic at home to Whitland, Lambert at home to Milford, Nancaredig travel to Larne, Fishguard travel to Lucha, and Betos get the bye. In two West Central, Brynaman are hosting Resolven. We go into the Division 3 Cup now. Aberaeron winning 45-17 at home to Tonna. Am United winning 26-25 at home to Brincoch. Harford West 33-17 at home to Nant Moyle. Llangadog winning 27-16 at home to Llandailo. And in the Gwendryth absolute battle, Pontebaran came out on top 16-15 against Tumble. There was actually a game in 3 West because of all the byes created in the first round. De Croix managed to win 76 points to 20 over Kevnathan. Fixtures for this weekend, we got Cardigan at home to Tumble, Kevnathan at home to Harford West, Aberaeron travelling to Llandailo, Am United travelling to Llangadog, and De Croix hosting Pontebaran. Into the Division 4 Cup now. More issues with teams, and no raising sides. So Langham are out courtesy of Britain Ferry. St David's lost 29-17 away to Crenant. Tregaron lost 62-19 away to Cumgores. Pembroke going down 36-32 away to Fall Bay. Llandibby got the walkover over Pembroke Dock Quins. Panderfynon won 25-19 away to Llanybydda. Narberth Athletic, a game I missed last week, got a walkover over Pontardawe. New Dock Stars winning 38-27 away to Pennebank, and Trimsaran beating Pontiac away 36-30. Another epic game there. So fixtures for 4 West A this week. We've got Llanybydda at home to Pembroke Dock Quins, Narberth Athletic at home to Pembroke, St David's travelling to Neyland, Newcastle Lemon Dry Guy travelling to Crymych Tyro and Langham getting the bye. For Westby, Furness at under Llandewi, New Dock Stars are coming to Bignia, Trimsaran going to Pennybank, Pandyfunan travelling to Pontiac, and Tregaron hosting Fall Bay. Dewar Shield action this week. So Carmarthen Schools 134-24 away to Llanelli. Mynydd Mawr 152-0 away to RDC West. And what was essentially the decider of who's going into the Dewar Shield knockouts. Pembroke 130-7 at home to Ceredigion. Congratulations, Pembroke. They're basically assured of a place in the last 8 in this competition now. Week off for them. Any team that I haven't named in the result, you had a bye last week. So congratulations. That brings to the end the community round. And I think that just leaves Cardiff preview left now, boys.
Not much to preview about Cardiff. We played in the week before last.
Well,
Yes.
my
previous podcast.
Yeah, my preview is going to be Cardiff got a lot of ground against Max Page at 13. As great as Max Page is in attack and threat, we talked some defensive frailties which were on show during this game. He's not starting as it stands. It's going to be Eddie James and Johnny Williams. I can't see Cardiff winning, especially after the performance against Glasgow this past Friday as well, I believe. So, yeah, we're getting our first win. You know, we should have been saying this 3 weeks ago, but it is what it is. We're knocking this out the park. Couple changes I personally make. I want Evan Jones to start, even if he only lasts 10 minutes. You know, give Cowdo a break. Let's see what Evan can do. And I want that back row that I alluded to earlier. Plumtree, McLeod, and Tuapoloto with Taylor on the bench.
How about you, Calvin?
If we play for 20 minutes instead of 10, we beat them. But no, just an 80-minute performance. Obviously, I'd love us to win, but I just think there's a lack of confidence in the squad at the moment because we've got a bit of white line fever getting over the line. I'd take a scrappy 3-0 win, whatever. Just get that elusive W and let's get the season rolling. I think if we can't get the win this weekend, the pressure builds. We get that W and that pressure lifts and the season becomes fun again. They can enjoy themselves and it becomes easier to play rugby. In terms of personnel, I wouldn't make too many changes. I just have trust in my bench to see us over the line. We see so many teams now referring to the bench as finishers. At the moment, I'd say we've got 50% finishers on the bench and 50% passengers because they're not getting a chance. So pick a bench where everybody gets on at some stage, even if that means you don't pick a replacement scrum half, you use Johan Lloyd or Johan Nicholas or somebody else from the backs to cover should Cowder get an injury. But pick a bench that can come on and make a difference. I'd probably go 6-2 and tell the pack, give everything for 60 minutes. We've got boys on the bench. We can take you out. Not take you out, bring you off even. But just give everything for an hour.
Shoot you on your way off.
Yeah, if you're not good enough, you're going down. But no, just give a 12 out of 10 for an hour, and then you've done your work. We can replace you. But yeah, just not to panic if we're leading with 4 minutes to go. Do a Munster, be boring. We don't have to be pretty. We just need to win a game. So slow and steady wins the race for me.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to see which way Cardiff go with their selections. Obviously, they hooked their halfbacks at half time last week. Are they going to start the other guys? Are they going to revert back? From our point of view, I think Kemsley comes into the front row. I think interesting to see what they do with the second row. I think our pack can and did stand toe to toe with theirs. I think you back Johan Nicholas at fullback. I don't think you hook him after that, even if he did make the mistakes. I think you give him another go. He's not going to make those same mistakes twice, is he? And like you said, bench. So it's doable. I felt it was doable last time, and we came away from the last game thinking, how the hell did we lose that? So hopefully we're not in a similar or worse position this time next week. Hopefully we have got that first W because you're right, the pressure is on now, and for all of Cardiff's position in the table looks a lot healthier than us. I don't think they're that much better than us. So I think
I don't think they are better.
I think we need to get a win. We need a win.
Yeah. So can we get some score predictions? I'm not going for the score. I'm going to go for a margin. I think we're going to win this one by 12.
I'm going by 8.
4.
Okay, so a little bit longer than normal. That brings us to the end of this wonderful Sosbans and Sidesteps podcast. Thank you, boys, for joining me. We will do it all again next week, celebrating our first win and our first bonus point win against Cardiff this season. Thank you for listening. Goodbye, and we'll see you all. Well, you'll hear us all and see us all next week. Bye.
Cheers.
That was Sosbans and Sidesteps. Please rate, review and share on socials if you can, and join us again next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.